So what's going on?
We have a light sprinkle going on right now on the pier. Should pass.
100% chance in the next couple hours.
And just like that, we were back to one of our favorite places. There's nothing quite like the Catskills. It's where we got introduced to our favorite species. And no, it's not regarded for its size, but the beautiful places it inhabits, and the even more beautiful galaxy-like markings that cover its body.
We're talking, of course, about the brook trout, and in our book, there's nothing quite like them. Not too long ago, we caught our first brook trout in these very mountains, and we've been mesmerized ever since.
In continuing with our fly fishing journey, and with help from a couple of friends, the frequent flyers are out to learn more about the Salvelinus fontinalis, or, as we like to call them,
Blue lining is magical. Like fountains of youth hiding in the woods, the experience of catching these hidden gems can bring back the feelings of childhood memories.
yeah, that's all poetic and whatnot, but it's also insanely frustrating.
Do a flick.
If your patience runs a little thin, this type of fishing might not be the one for you. But that's what makes it so special. Every branch you snag, every slip on a mossy rock, makes finally landing a small brook trout all the more rewarding.
And that's the thing about brook trout. They definitely make you earn it. Every cast, every step, it's all part of the struggle. I mean adventure. But sometimes you need a little extra help to figure it out. So we headed into town where we'd meet with our good friend Jesse. But first, it's time for some new flies.
Meet Jesse Vidala. He's an engagement coordinator for Trout Unlimited. He's also a licensed New York fly fishing guide, a conservationist, and a pretty capable angler.
This is my first job in conservation. I've been a songwriter and a creative for all of my life, really. I like working with people and bringing people together and helping them to fall in love with these places that I like so much.
So, where are we today, Jesse?
We're here in Livingston Manor, extension of Roscoe, all part of what is the town of Rockland, but really it's Trout Town, USA. That's where we are. Everyone here refers to this region that way because there are just so many crazy, kooky enthusiasts of trout, kind of like myself.
Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shawawa. Now if you want a rockin' good time, take along $1 and a dime. Run by Tiger Bill, and by Hotshot Ray. But they won't let you in unless you know how to say Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shahibi, a sick'em sir, Shawawa.
It's really something special to see the love for the trout like we saw at the trout parade yesterday. Trout floats all types of trout art. It's something you'll see when you come into Livingston Manor, and it's fun to just see how many folks really care about the trout. People that, in these cases tend to care deeply about a river will also be the ones to do the right thing to protect the river when we need them.
Balancing the conservation of brook trout with the joy of fishing for them is essential to their survival. As Jesse points out, it's often the anglers who pursue the fish that become their strongest advocates.
So it seems probably counterintuitive or almost hypocritical to be an enthusiast for catching a trout that you are talking about protecting and catching it by way of a hook. But very often anglers who go out and find brook trout are the first in line to protect them and to look out for their resources. So by using a fly with a hook and catching a brook trout, admiring it and reflecting on it before releasing it back into the wild is a very good form, in my opinion, of conservation, because there is a high level of appreciation for the trout that you catch.
And it's hard not to appreciate something as beautiful as the miracle of the mountains. My friend Thomas Watts, also known as Canadian Trout Bum, put it best in his poem.
No wonder brook trout are so dearly loved, and so they should be. In a world with diminishing light, they remain shrouded in mystery and magic. Their sides and backs are adorned with galaxies of distant stars and constellations. Truly, the last of the remaining magical beasts that this world has to offer.
Brook trout don't live in ugly places. We keep saying that everywhere we catch them reminds us of a fairy tale, with beautiful, cold streams, mossed over rocks, and fallen trees. The main stream we're on is an important part of the local watershed, but for years, a dam stood in the way, blocking the trout from reaching critical habitat.
Right now we're standing in front of the structure that was built in the 60s to try to keep an eroded bank from falling all the way in. Pretty amazing integrity over time, but is a barrier to fish passage. This particular stream was a really important native passing ground for Delaware and Lenape Indians. The stream we're on right now is full of brook trout like that one. Nice, Kyle. You want a net? That's a really good fish. See, walls like this that separate trout from really good spawning habitat are on the list to be removed. So we prioritize stuff like this. That's the kind of nature of our work at TU, is finding barriers, whether they were man-made or natural, and understanding how trout can and can't move. So we can fish this plunge pool and try to catch some trout, and then later this year, this will be gone.
Thanks to Trout Unlimited, that barrier is finally gone, opening up over 15 miles of wild brook trout habitat.
Trout Unlimited is a cold water conservation organization established in the 60s. We, back then, were putting together a group of grassroots volunteers who would care about trout and salmon because those populations were in decline. So here in the Northeast, specifically in New York, I work on a team that we refer to as Trout Unlimited Northeast, or our Northeast Cold Water Habitat Team. So our work in New York does have quite a lot to do with brook trout. In general, it's in support of wild trout. So wild brown trout, rainbow trout, and native brook trout are all very high priorities for my team. So we're looking at observing and getting data on trout streams all over the state. Our team is really focused on the connectivity of small streams. We're trying to get these little trickling tributary streams like this one to flow naturally into the rivers down below for the health of the larger rivers and the cold water they bring, but also the access to spawning habitat for wild trout. So small water like the one I'm standing on right now means the future of trout. The health of these small streams allow the trout to come up here in the fall and spawn, and further to expand the generational pools that are here.
One such person making sure this happens is Kyle Glenn. Kyle is a biologist and a stream restoration technician for Trout Unlimited. He's someone who's not just passionate about trout, but he's also dedicated to ensuring their habitats thrive.
All right, go ahead.
Oh. I thought there was someone behind me. It's not just the water you see here above ground. the whole water table is seeping into the main stream here. So this whole portion downstream will generally be cooler than even slightly upstream. Yeah, so what we have here is a small spring influence to these systems. It comes right off the hillside here, and this water is often 1 to 2 degrees cooler than the ambient stream temperature. So trout and other cold water species, they're able to detect that slight difference in the middle of summer and thermally stressed times of year.
So the quality of water and the temperature of water really strongly dictate where brook trout will and will not be. Structure, hiding places for trout are also huge. Specifically, the brook trout can find spaces in very small rocks and wood and trees, and the wood is a big part of it as well. Not just for the shade that it provides the stream, keeping it cold, but wood also, when in a stream bank, will help collect organic materials. Those organic materials help feed the macroinvertebrates, which are the main food source for the trout. So mayflies, caddisflies, and stoneflies. Those 3 populations of macros can be found on and under these rocks, crawling all over the banks, and then eventually hatching and becoming the source of our imitations when we fish dry flies here in the Catskills. Last season was really fun turning rocks with Kyle because he's so dialed in on nymphs and the early phases of bugs, and I don't have that background, but when I got really into dry fly fishing, I started studying the various mayflies and understanding what characteristics were like stone cold. You know for sure this is a March brown because it has these factors.
Kyle really knows his stuff. He's able to pull up a random rock from the creek and start spewing out the names of each of the bugs. After all, it's kind of his job to know these things. With our newfound knowledge and appreciation, we've finally set out to go fishing.
I want them to fish that second round, so we'll put them in there and let them get some fishing. All right, cool.
Recently, the stream was designated as a wild trout fishery. For us, this feels like the perfect place to discover why wild trout fishing is so special.
Follow me to my favorite tree. Well, I'm offering a steady hand. I could be your security. There's no guarantee on anything. And I'll take care of you along the way. My love, one day at a time, will leave our troubles behind. And you'll take care of me along the way. My love, one day at a time, will leave our troubles behind.
I was recording, right?
Hold on.
I can't explain how amazing this trip was. I learned so much from Jesse and Kyle, and I can tell you, they're dialed in.
When we watch them fish and talk about trout, their passion changed our perspective about these small streams. And that's exactly what we set out to do.
In celebration of native brook trout, the Catskills are a place to view a truly remarkable population of gorgeous little speckled wild creatures. I've not gotten over that feeling experiencing native brook trout, which in my opinion are the miracle in the mountains.
Troubles behind.